Hi, good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to this CFO series of Octane Software Solutions. Today, I'm Madhur. Along with me, we have Kaushal, who is seasoned practice lead for any kind of CFO related tech, right from the close, consolidation, and reporting. So why we are here today? So let's first understand the CFOs, they spend majority of their time in just making the Excel and spreadsheet based consolidations. And that is where the IBM is so powerful that it comes with the data and AI platform, which gives you automated solution as to get all your data points in one single platform and perform your consolidation seamlessly. So in this particular CFO series, we are touching upon controller, which is one of the niche product from IBM, and we would be taking you through this journey of CFOs. So Kaushal, hi, and
Thanks,
very good
Madhur.
morning.
Thanks, Madhur. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So today, what we are talking about is the real world scenario which we are having for the CFOs and how that scenarios can be catered with the use of the IBM Cognos Controller and how the IBM Cognos Controller can be useful for easement of the data financial reporting closure. We have just closed one of the seasons of listed
True,
companies
true.
financial reporting. So we have a number of many real world scenario which can be brought into the eyes of the CFO and CSO, and that can be helpful for the entire CFO fertility.
Exactly. So stay with us. By end of this session, every one of you will understand the crux of having the tool like a controller and what kind of magic the controller can bring onto the table.
Absolutely, it has a very wonderful all the features which is available inside, and we are happy to share all those experience with you guys.
Perfect. So, Kaushal, to start with, can you please start with telling us some kind of challenges which any CFOs or any finance practitioners or including the finance executives are currently, experiencing while they perform their consolidations and close and reporting?
So the first and foremost challenge what all the CFOs and CEOs will be facing is the strict timelines. Okay, they have to close if it is a listed company, they have to close within 60 days, and 60 days of the financial closure by 31st May. They have to listing all the numbers into the SEBI or whatever regulatory information. So there, the main challenge is to get the information from your accounting software, capturing those
True.
into the consolidation and the accuracy of that particular data. Along with that, the speed of that particular data. There could be a situation like you are using a manual worksheets for capturing all that information. So all that becomes of too much complexity.
Right. So, all in all, what you're trying to say is that these are all manual, spreadsheet based, workings, and there could be some kind of risk associated with having those workings in place, right? So, if you can just tell us and tell us our viewer like what kind of solution, it would kind of help them out as to make this automated.
So the first and foremost thing is, as we are into a real world scenario, I have seen many of the major organization using a Excel worksheets. Using a Excel worksheets, it creates always a problem, human error problems, and there could be a misinformation while the data is getting changed into the versions. So when we are using a IBM Cognos controller, it actually automates the entire process. It actually having a staging tables which actually captures the information from the accounting softwares to the consolidation tool. We have the interparty balance elimination template, which actually runs the interparty elimination and gives you the actual issues which is there if it is. Then it has a currency conversion, and it is actually an automated situation. So if you use it correctly with the staging tables and all that, it gives you financial reporting within a very minimum days.
Correct. So that means, in simple terms, if I want to kind of put it here, right, it does fit to the finance ecosystem very well,
Yes, well it is.
right?
Yeah.
So you take any sort of the organization structure could be how complex it is or how small or big it is. It can fit into any specific organization, and any office of finance people can work upon it seamlessly.
Yeah. So taking into my experience into consideration, I have worked with the IBM Cognos Controller with the 10 subsidiaries, joint venture associate. Along with that, we have another group where we have a 350 more subsidiaries, joint venture and associate that runs into a different So the subsidiaries are having a different geographical region. So some of them is AED, USD currency, and all that. So all functional currency can be catered with the use of the IBM Cognos Controller. That's the first beauty of that. You can integrate this particular software with any kind of SAP or Oracle. So the entire information is directly coming from the SAP to this. So there is no manual intervention. The third basic thing is you want to have a audit trails and all that. So it is all inbuilt available. So if any change is going to happen to that particular thing or something like that, it is everything automated, or audit documentation is available. So it will be always a transparency to the auditors as well as for the CFOs.
Correct, correct. So, Kaushal, I know, I mean, this controller tool is very close to your heart and mind.
Always.
So just want to kind of, dig into more into that. So what basically makes controller stand out for finance leaders?
So controller is there in the existence from last more than 25 years. The beauty of that particular product is it is always a financial user friendly. It does not require any technological guy to be having a major role. It is not a code base. It is always based on certain rules which a normal chartered accountant or a normal financial user can understand. With the proper training, he can use that particular tool very well. And it does not require a hardcore training of 6 months or 9 months. Within 21 days of proper training, they can understand this product very well and they can use it very well.
Perfect. So that means this tool is for the finance, by the finance, and maintained and control and operated by the finance,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Correct. So we understood, like, it is powerful in terms of handling the data volumes, handling the multi-company ownership structures and things like that. So one key thing which I would really be interested in knowing, whenever you have seen such kind of the complex scenarios, having multiple subsidiaries and then again having their own different set of subsidiaries and joint ventures and associate, what are the typical challenges that you have seen over your past 10, 12, 15 years of experiences? And if you want to kind of elaborate on more on that.
We have identified many of the challenges using complex structures. One of that is you have a multiple currency.
Okay.
So that can be very well easily used into IBM controller, and those reports are very well available into the system, and that can be audited by the auditors. So that was one of the major situation. Secondly, when you have a joint venture turning out to be a subsidiary, or associate turning out to be subsidiary, or subsidiary turning out to be a joint venture and associate. So those are the complex transaction which we have into the consolidation. This tool is using this particular database, and the transformation from associate to joint venture to subsidiary is very easily keyed into the IBM Cognos Controller. So it is a database, and you can define the complexity of this particular company structure into a company structure tab. So basis that, like one of the example is you have a two different subgroups within that, and one company is having 30% into one company structure, and under that we have another subsidiary where you have the another 30%. So technically at a group you have a 60% subsidiary, but for those two groups it is a 30% associate or joint venture. So by using this particular controller package, that can be very easily the output is very easily available for the first and second group, as well as when you're doing for a parent company, it becomes a subsidiary and the output is seamlessly available. And you are not supposed to do any other kind of manual works to get those eliminations or accounting structures to be done. Third, when you do amalgamation or mergers kind of situation or de-recognition of any subsidiary, that is also very easily done.
Okay.
Only thing is when you have to upload and just de-link those from your data table. So that is also available. Now coming back to the situations where you have Indian parent company, but on the top of it you have a foreign investors. Okay. So they also want the information in their local currency. So you are having India as a parent level group consolidation currency, and on the top of it you want the same information which is coming into a Canadian or USD currency. Single database can be used for creating the multiple currency report at a multiple go, and it is not required that any further pick and something has to be done. It is very seamless. When you do a consolidation at a parent level, that can be done for all the smaller down levels, and your consolidation happening within a few seconds. So that's the entire take about the IBM controller use case.
So let's now understand from the real life scenarios, how it is really impacting any real-time implementations for any sort of mid-size or enterprise level companies.
So, coming to the real world situations where you are doing a consolidation based on your Excel sheet running into more than, let's say, 50 subsidiaries and all that, that becomes a quarterly situations for the companies. So, your entire workforce is occupied with that particular situations. When you actually do any implementation with the IBM Cognos controller, that workforce is actually utilized in a proper manner. The entire 150 or 100 to 150 joint venture associate companies, that entire cycle gets reduction into 3 or 4 days. So the entire workforce can be properly utilizing towards the analyzing of that particular financial statement rather than just doing that financial statement. That's the major beauty of this particular thing. Secondly, when you are using this particular tool, it gives you a confidence that the numbers are accurately captured, and it is based on a approval mechanism. So we have many approval mechanism which can be built into the IBM Cognos controller, and basis that your upper level management got the entire confidence that the information is accurately captured, represented in a proper manner, and all the compliance requirement which is required as per the Indian laws or any IFRS or sort that gets adhered to. The second major thing is when you have the entire audit trails or something which is inbuilt accurately, it actually gives you a compliance requirement from the SOX and IFRS perspective. So any auditors which is coming from the outside world, they can entirely rely into that. And the beauty of that is when you actually utilize your workforce time for 45 days into only creating of this financial statement, only 5 days you are through with the entire financial statement, and all other 40 days can be utilized for the other improvements for that.
True. Now this goes for all kind of database integrations from the subsidiary level, having the workflow in place, and then mechanism for audit trail and integrity and things like that, till the time we reach to the compliance reporting. But one of the major concern now companies being highlighting is how about capturing the budgeted numbers, and also for the matter of revisiting those numbers in the form of the forecast is something every CFO is more interested in. And I think our viewers definitely be looking at this kind of solution also. So if you kind of, throw some light on this.
So in one of our international client, we have utilized the IBM Cognos controller for getting the budget implementation along with the actual numbers as well as the forecast. So there what we have done is we have utilized the three actualities for that.
Okay.
One is we are implementing entire budget into a one actuality which is called, in our terms it is called BU. Then we are using a actuality called AC for uploading all the actual details. Based on that, we have captured all the information to give you the variances between the budget as well as the actuals. And when you want to more go into the forecast, we have utilized the FC actuality for giving you the forecast also. So combining all this three together, it gives you a proper information for the management how the organization is going on. Second thing is IBM Cognos controller can be utilized with the historical data also.
True.
So that gives you a more insight that how our organization has performed over the period and how it is going further. Second thing is we can get into an integration with IBM planning analytics. So that gives you a proper dashboards and all that. And
Correct.
you are the best SMEs for the IBM planning analytics. So you can throw more lights on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, with the integration of FAP, which is Financial Analytics Publisher, I think the world is now, all connected, right?
Yeah.
So we can have the integration between the planning analytics and controller using the FAP utility, and this data exchange between these two technologies is now, seamless and robust, I would say.
Okay.
Getting the dashboards or executive view of your KPIs, or maybe it could be a group profitability, or maybe if you want to even go to the subsidiary level profitability and things like that, it is very much essential, or very easy, I would say, to track within the planning analytics tool. And the good thing is that with the IBM planning analytics assistant, which is the AI assistant, I would call it, it gives you the natural language processing kind of thing to kind of
That's great.
get your all insights at a group level or could be at subsidiary level, just within a fraction of seconds, in the
That's
form of charts and in the form of the tabular information. It is all with you. Moreover, one of the key thing, I mean, of course, you will compliment on that. Taking the storyline out of all those financials is again one of the big tasks, and you
yeah.
or being an auditor, you know what kind of pain it is, right? So taking those storylines, it is again the planning analytics assistant can help you out in taking the storylines so that you can just copy and paste into your financial statements, and your financial statement is then ready to kind of report. I'm sure with the integration of having this two kind of platform, it is going to make the life easy for any CFOs or the executive directors for the commentaries and KPIs tracking perspective, right?
I'll just add one of the things to that, that when you are using a IBM Cognos Controller along with the IBM Planning Analytics, your board decks is ready within few seconds.
That's true. That's true.
And so the information is there, you can able to generate that reports very easily.
Correct. And that too with actuals,
Actual
budgets, and
storylines, everything.
yeah. You have everything on a one single platform. So as we said, this is being maintained, operated, and managed by the finance without having any IT dependency per se, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
very good to kind of have such kind of platform, and we are glad that we are pure blue, by the way, and we are everywhere. We are just talking about the IBMs, and
Yeah.
I think this kind of technology is really taking the
Help.
yeah, that's true. So let's say I'm a CFO. I'm fully convinced, right? So how the adoption journey should look like?
So when we start with the BD process, that what is the requirement of the CFO and what kind of structures they are having into the organization, first and foremost is we actually check the company structure. How many subsidiaries are there? What kind of profit percentage they are into? So basically, that gives us the flavor of non-controlling interest for the subsidiary situation. When we are going for the joint venture and associate, it actually gives us the flavor of equity pickup, how much we have to take into our financial statement. So once that has been defined into a paper, that this is my subsidiary, this much percentage is there, and these are the parent company within the group. There could be a situation that we have a number of groups within the main parent company. So we actually define all those groups, and if it is required to produce a financial statement for that, that basis that we identify the company structure perspective. Once that is freezed and we have all the numbers and all that, the second major task with the implementer is to identify the chart of accounts of the company. So the chart of accounts becomes another major important document for any kind of implementation, because we have a number of different GL system which is there into the ecosystem. So identifying all those GAs into one chart of accounts, getting that approved from the CFO, that's another task. That includes all your movement accounts also. So when we are talking about a trial balance, it does not only talks about GL numbers, but it also talks about the movements like fixed asset registers and all that. So in fixed asset register, we have a opening, addition, deletion, any acquisition during the year, or so on so forth. So all that movement accounts are also getting captured. Second major important movements are other equity. So we have many other equity movements needs to be captured. So all those information while creating your chart of accounts we define, and once that document is available, then we identify what kind of rates to be applied. So in many of the cases when we have a foreign currency which is involved, although your profit and loss accounts should be translated into the average accounts rate, and the closing balance has to be on a closing rate. But when we do a consolidation with the foreign currency, all your accumulated numbers of the PL has to be translated based on the last year closing number. So there we are connecting that particular ledger to your last year number. So that gives you a correct information to that. When we have a foreign uh, currency, we have to capture the historical rates also for the elimination of the share capital run. So all that information is also available when we are closing out the chart of accounts and your company structure. Once that is ready into the system, the second major important thing is to define the currency. So when we are closing out the company structure, we have already identified what kind of currency are there into the system.
True.
So basis that we are uploading the average period rate, closing rate, and if it is required that the company is supposed to do a quarterly basis consolidation or any MIS purpose, we actually use a period ratio, period rates also. So the base is month, quarter, and the year. So we have a three possibilities which is there. So you can do a monthly closing, you can do a quarterly closing, you can do also a yearly closing. Once that is defined, then the second major thing is how to upload your trial balance into the controller. So we have two approaches to that. One is your staging reports, where the information can directly capture from the system. The second is, which is CSV based file. So all those informations are available into a trial balance, and then we are uploading it to the system. Once that is captured, then the second process is your interparty elimination. Again, we can use the staging reports or the CSV file to upload that. Once these basic things are available, then the major things which is required is to pass the JVs. That could be a situation that the informations are there in the financial statement, but certain things has to be done at a parent level. Like one of the classic example is we have goodwill when we acquire the financials.
True.
Okay. That goodwill cannot be amortized at a company level. It has to be amortized at a group level. So all those JVs which is required to be passed at a group level, that we can also pass at this level, at a group level. In case there is a situation that you got some financial which is IFRS based, and for India we have a Ind AS. So any those kind of entries which is required for a compliant to be passing as a Ind AS from the IFRS. So that is what we called as a accounting standard entries. So if those kind of entries required, we can pass those actual entries at a company level also. So once all these informations are available, then you can go for actual consolidation. Now the consolidation happens here is at a parent level, at a subsidiary level also.
Correct.
And you will get all the information which is required, and whatever different type of presentations or the forms you have created a report, all that report can be generated within a few seconds.
Correct. So meaning, so once the configuration is done, it is like a no code, low code.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
So that means any kind of percentage changes or some kind of tweaking here and there with the periodicity can be tracked and have a prospective, the impact over it, and the financials can run seamlessly in that.
Correct.
Correct.
So in that also, what we have is we have created a different forms. Like you have a trial balance, balance sheet, P&L. But if certain client requires the entire financial statement to be coming out of that, so you can create the entire report of the financial, which includes your balance sheet, P&L, cash flow, all the schedules, all the numerical notes, all the word notes also. Even you can upload the related party transaction to generate the related party schedules also. So all that is possible with this.
So Kaushal, now let's talk about, or maybe you can help us out understanding how the web version can help us in terms of creating the workflows and making sure that there is accountability and checks are in place.
So IBM initially has started with the classic version, which was always on the premises. So that has a limitation earlier that only the people who are working into that particular premises can work on to the IBM controller software and all that. After that, initially the IBM Cognos Controller has implemented a IBM web space. So by using that particular workflow, people sitting any geographical location can utilize the IBM Cognos Controller software, and they can upload the data. So here the beauty of that particular thing is, like, you see the scenario that the people are sitting into your Bombay main office. Those are the CFO main team, and your users are scattered over across the world. Informations are getting uploaded from that particular space. So it is not required that you have to log in into your premises. All that situation has gone. Once the trial balance has been uploaded, that particular user's approval guy can approve that particular trial balance that it is all correct, and he can use the button submit. Once that has got submit, that is coming to your central system. Apart from that, the entire flow of interparty balances upload, any movement which is required to be uploaded, that can also be utilized by that particular workflow. So in that, what is happening is the user sitting into a one particular area, he is uploading all the information, getting approved by his superior guys, and that information comes to the main central team. Now, when they are analyzing this, they are asking certain questions. The questions like why your sales are going down by this percentage because the earlier you have reported this much because your budget is showing this much, or why your pad number are going plus or minus. So beauty of this particular thing is they can actually put a mail saying that this is your the number. Here what we have a question, you can also comment on that. So that facility is also available. Secondly, if certain entries has to be passed which is required to be getting approved from the central team and has to be passed by this particular guys who's sitting into the different location. They can also give the inputs to them. They can upload that. And once the entire flow is submitted, his superior has to review it and he has to submit. Once they give a submit button and the informations are coming to the central team, then they cannot change anything unless the central team gives the approval to that. So the entire mechanism is such that the people has to upload, that has to be reviewed by someone, and it is submitted to the central team. Once it is getting coming to the central team, they are analyzing it, and everything is automated. Here, there is no manual intervention. Everything is coming from the web workspace, and it is getting implemented into your classic. So both the versions are coming out. If admin has to do anything on this particular thing, he has to use the classic version. There is no facility right now available for the web version that admin can do the changes into this, but definitely it becomes a boom for the users sitting across the world.
So, Kaushal, what kind of complex reports we can build in controller, which can be a problem solver for every one of us?
See, when we are talking about a financial reporting process, there are many reports which has data points coming from various sources. One of the complex report what we have is a cash flow reporting. So in cash flow reporting, what happens is there are many movements which has to be captured, like the loan given, loan taken back, or you have a fixed asset purchase, fixed asset sales, all those information. This information directly does not directly come from the GLs or something like that. It requires another reporting system where you upload all this information via a form and that can be built up into the cash flow. So one of the complex report is always a cash flow and becomes a nightmare for many of the CFOs to get the cash flow getting tallied on a last minute, some adjustments to do out there. When you automate this, the cash flow report comes within a few seconds. So that is one of the major report what we talked about. Second is the financial instrument. So financial instrument is another part of your notes where many informations are directly linked from the financial informations, and there are certain information which requires what you say is undiscounted cash flow. So one of the example is a lease line item. So in lease line item, you have to capture undiscounted cash flow and not the actual current liability or non-current liability. So there also we can use a movement codes to capture all this information. So once you actually use prepare a form for that, the entire report can be coming out for the financial instrument also. Secondly, we have a employee benefit disclosure. So many informations are directly coming from the P&L. Many informations are coming directly from the balance sheet. There are another information which is required to be passed or uploaded based on your forms, and that can be uploaded into the system. And the entire employee benefit report can be coming. Now, you just imagine that these are some of the complex reports. If you are using this for a consolidation purpose. So I'm just right now talking about a one particular standalone company. But when we are talking about the 50 or 100 subsidiaries, it is very easier to upload all this information and getting your cash flows, getting your financial instrument, getting your employee benefit reports coming to you within a few minutes. So that reduces the entire manual work, that reduces the entire problem what we are having, a human errors and all that, and it gives you a complete transparency. Fourthly, we can upload the related party transactions also with balances and the transactions. So that gives you the entire related party transaction reporting which is coming out of the controller. Then there's a specific report which calls about the schedule 3 reporting. It talks about your network of all the subsidiaries. It talks about the net profit of the all subsidiaries. talks about net OCI of the all subsidiaries and the total comprehensive income. So the entire schedule can be based and linked with your entire information. So that report is also available. And if you do a proper configuration, that is also very easily available to the users. Then these are the individual reports we are talking about. If you want to create the entire book of the financial reporting pack, that can also be possible using the reporting functionality which the IBM Controller gives you that. So once you upload all these details and you park all the consolidation, you pass all the JVs and all that, then creating this report, it will be easier. So in real world situation, what happens is when you use a Excel version, in that what happens is you create the first financial numbers. So initially, the entire workflow are busy with only creating the financials number. They are not looking towards the notes or something like that. Once the financial numbers are freezed, then people tries to close with the notes and other part of that. Here, what happens is you are doing everything in a synchronized manner. Once the data is uploaded, it is uploaded in each and every data point, each and every reports are getting generated and populated. And when the people like auditors wants to see something or different people wants to see something, they can just extrapolate that details, download that, and they can view that particular reports. So all kind of different complex set reports are available. From the MS perspective, what we have is we upload all the trial balance, but we have a budget also. So we can combine both of the actuality to create the variances also. Similarly, if we have a forecast, we can create the entire forecast and view that along with the budget as well as the actual reporting. Third thing, if you upload any sales data, if you require some sales data to be analyzed as a critical line item, so you can create the entire movement for identifying that sales data, and you can use that data for your budgeting purpose, forecasting purpose, or you can see
True.
the historical growth also. So all those kind of complex reports, what we are understanding that this becomes a little time consuming to create, that is very easily available from the IBM Cognos controller.
So, Kaushal, when do you think, or at which point you say the system or basically data which is coming out of the controller is audit ready?
So when we upload the information, so as I earlier said, there are two situations. One is staging or one the CSV upload. Users are uploading that, people are superiors are approving that, central teams are saying that everything is okay, and then they say it's approved. Then this data is readily available for the auditors to check. When you are doing the actual audits, you can also give access to the auditors of that particular system. So it is not required that
Mm.
you use only Excel reportings to give them. If you train your auditors to do the audit on that, they can see all the trial balances, they can see all the JVs, they can actually see what kind of organization structure what we have created, how the non-controlling interest are captured. So non-controlling interest is also one of the key areas of the financial instrument, financials. And you can also see the different audit trails. So once the entire informations are uploaded by the central team, it can be auditable, it can be downloaded for your work paper also purpose, and auditor can have only access password. So they can only view the details and they can give you a comments on that. Basis that comment, if anything requires to be passed as an audit entry, central team has ability and the password to only pass those entries. And again, auditors can view that particular thing. Once audits are done, they can download the financial statement or they can download what kind of reports they wanted. One of the main report what auditors are always fascinated to see is the foreign currency translation report, and that becomes a nightmare for all across the world because FCTR calculation becomes a too much complex situation. Here you get the entire Excel working as well as the PDF working, so you can actually see what GLs are translated at a average rate, what GLs are translated at a closing rate, and how your FCTR is calculated. So once you give this kind of comfort report to the auditors, they are very happy to complete the audits in the time. And that gives you more strength to them that everything is coming properly, it is all integrated, and there is no manual major intervention into this.
So, to wrap up this session, right, what I can say at nutshell is controller is a future ready kind of technology. which gives you the readiness, which gives you the agility and preparedness to kind of face any consolidation related problems and reporting. Correct?
Correct. So the controller gives you a facility that your workforce time can be utilized very efficiently. Secondly, it becomes your strength. So if it is implemented very accurately, all the different kind of reporting which is required for a CFO or for a financial reporting perspective, that can be easily available and very accurately, and your data integrity and the other problems like a human error that can be resolved in a real time. So all those, with that all benefits and all that, I say that the IBM Cognos Controller is very ideal product for the CFOs handling the companies ranging from 10 to multiple numbers. So it does not have any limitation. It can go till 400, 500 or 1000 plus companies. So I say that it is a very good product and it
So,
becomes a strength for you.
so to all CFOs, are you interested in looking at the consolidation platform, which is ready to use kind of platform, which requires low code, no code? Please let me know if you're happy to kind of have a one-on-one discussion with me and Kaushal. We can schedule a call. So moving to the Q&A, since we are live, I got more than 10 questions now, and we'll just try to cover at least few of them. So very first question looks like it's from CFO. The question is, thanks Madhur and Kaushal for elaborative session. And this the question is more on like how flexible is the system in adapting to the changes in the consolidation and specifically to the rules and structures. So Kaushal, would you like to throw some light on this?
So, like in Indian context, what we have earlier was the Schedule 6 requirement. Then it has moved to the Ind AS. So all those transition which is required from different schedules to different requirements of the compliance, that is scattered properly into the system. And when you are talking about the rule base, it is all the GL configuration. So any formative requirement changes, only thing is you have to update your reporting into that structure, and there is no new requirement of creating any GLs. If it is the older GLs are sufficient enough to create a new requirement, that is sufficient in that case. And if something is newly required as an add-on to the new requirement, that can be very easily implemented into the system, and the data which is already there, that can be utilized for creating this new requirements.
Great. Next question is how controller can support different accounting standards for financial requirements?
That's the typical question which is coming from all the CFOs across the world. So here, what you assume is you have a country organization, and there are requirements of IFRS reporting. Also, there are requirements of the US GAAP requirement, and also if you have any companies in India, you have a Ind AS requirement. So the system can create a report based on the IFRS, IGAP, as well as any other accounting requirement. And if any entries required to be passed for converting IFRS to Ind AS or Ind AS to US GAAP, those entry can be passed into the general entries mode, and you can create the entire reporting for any different accounting standard, and the same data can be utilized across different accounting standards across the geographical requirements.
Correct. So getting into the next question, it is more to do with the conversion of subsidiaries to the associates or joint ventures
Oh.
in between the financial periods.
So, this is a purely a situation where there are organizational changes which happens in between the periods or different accounting periods. So here, the IBM Cognos Control give you a proper easy way to capture all these organizational changes. Only thing what you have to do is you have to update your investment template as well as the company structure templates. And here you can define from this particular period to this particular period, you have a this much amount of percentage. And then later on, if the subsidiary becomes the associate, you can pick up the you can pick up the consolidation methods like from total subsidiary accounting from the equity pickup and vice versa. So it is very easier for a it is very easier for a financial user to capture that information, and no technical knowledge is required for conversion of all this.
Great. Uh, the follow-up question is how do we identify if there is any gap between the related party transactions?
Okay. So in related party transaction, as we have earlier mentioned, that we are uploading all the information of one particular company into interparty elimination template, and we are uploading that into the IBM Cognos Controller. When the second user uploads the same, you got the both the transaction from one side, then the other side. So we have two reports. One is based on the balance sheet to balance sheet transaction, and we have another report which is called profit and loss to profit and loss. So there we can actually identify if there is a gap, and we can refer back to the users that this transaction is giving you a gap and you need to rectify that. Once the all the details are available into that and it is properly managed, then what it gives you a audit work paper that entire interparty elimination is available company by company, code by code, and you can audit that and can be part of your consolidation process. So it's a very easier process there.
Great. So last question which I can pick up is how do we ensure the carry forward of opening balances and different journals?
Oh, that becomes a too complex when you are using a Excel kind of situation. There you have to capture all the opening JVs to another file and all that. Here, the process is very simple. You have to open a new period and you have to carry forward that. The beauty of this is there are situations where you are passing entries which is required for that particular period and is not required to carry forward those for the next year. And there are entries which is normally on a permanent basis which needs to be a carry forward. So we have different kind of JVs which can be carry forward to the next year and which can be written to that particular period. So once this defined, the rules are defined properly, only thing is you have to open the period and run the carry forward process. Once you do that, your accumulated PNL and all the reserves entries are getting passed accurately. All the informations about the reserves are coming accurately. All the informations about the fixed asset registers and all that are coming accurately, and you can use that thing for the future references.
So with this note, we are coming to an end of today's webinar. So please do like, subscribe, and share our YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook page. We are happy to kind of extend a support as to get a live demo arranged between myself and Kaushal. Please do let me know if you have any suggestions, recommendations, and we are happy to get into a one-on-one call. Please write to me or my email